A manager at a Greece post office and an employee at a Henrietta post office are charged tonight with being part of a drug ring.
Federal investigators say Latta Road post office manager Ralph Minni used the mail to send and receive drugs. Henrietta post office employee Grace Lopez is accused of helping him.
As Carla Rogner reports, investigators say the drug operation has been going on for years.
Yeah, federal investigators have been tracking Minni and Lopez since receiving a tip about the drug operation in 2018. The charges were filed in mid-April after about 4 years of watching the alleged drug operation on surveillance video and collecting information through confidential sources. The Greece post office on Latta Road is at the center of a drug ring investigation. Ralph Minni, a manager there, has allegedly used the mail to send and receive cocaine and marijuana since 2018. Investigators were tipped off by a confidential source 4 years ago. They installed cameras at the post office and at Minni's home just down the road. They say he's been seen intercepting boxes of drugs mailed from California, shipping boxes of drugs from the post office, and bringing drugs to and from his home. It was there he would occasionally meet with what investigators call co-conspirators. Federal investigators say other USPS employees helped Minni with the operation, and video even shows another employee using drugs in Minni's office. Henrietta post office employee Grace Lopez is also facing federal charges in the case. She is accused of selling the drugs she would get from Minni. A confidential source told investigators the two were in a relationship. According to court documents, investigators would send that source armed with a microphone and cash to purchase drugs from Lopez. Then the source would turn the drugs over to the feds as evidence. In one of many recorded conversations, Lopez allegedly said she could obtain 10 pounds of marijuana through the mail every day. According to the complaint, Lopez told the tipster in late 2018 Minni knew he was being watched, and that the operation stopped for about a month before resuming in January 2019 and continuing through last month. A USPS spokesman says the agency is aware of the investigation. Both Minni and Lopez are still on the Postal Service payroll, but Minni is no longer engaging with the mail. Authorities say it is likely Minni has been supplying other Western New York postal workers with drugs, and it's unclear if there will be more charges. Minni is in custody and expected to appear in court tomorrow. We reached out to his attorney for comment but did not get a response. Lopez was in court yesterday and she's free pending her next court appearance in June. Both are charged with possessing and distributing cocaine and marijuana.
The legalization of marijuana in New York is raising concerns about drivers being high behind the wheel. In tonight's special report, 13 Wham's Chase Howell explains how police enforce catching those who are under the influence of cannabis.
Drugged driving is when anybody is impaired to the degree they're unsafe to drive when they have something besides alcohol in their system.
Captain Rick Bancroft with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office says nearly half of his DWI stops are marijuana related. Captain Bancroft says driving drunk and driving drugged have similar indicators.
The mechanism on the brain, whether you're drunk or drugged, is going to display itself the same way when you're behind the wheel.
He says things like swerving, speeding, going too slow, and delayed reactions of lights are signs someone may be driving drugged. Jason Lathrop, a drug recognition expert for the Rochester Police Department, says his job is to indicate whether someone is driving drunk or driving drugged.
They're looking to see if the impairment matches a blood alcohol content or no blood alcohol content. And if that impairment is there, is it medical related or drug related? Once they determine that it is drug related, they continue on.
Lathrop says they use a 12-step process. During the process, Lathrop says he checks vital signs and does a psychophysical test similar to a sobriety test. Once a drug recognition expert rules out alcohol, Lathrop says they look for other things like bloodshot eyes and dilated pupils.
Sometimes the back of the tongue will have very large raised taste buds if they've been smoking cannabis. THC also on the tongue fluoresces like a fluorescent orange, fluorescent red color under a ultraviolet light.
There's no defined chemical slope that we can provide for marijuana, not that we can find yet. To that end, our officers rely upon those field sobriety tests, and they're going to rely upon those extra training the A-RIDE officers have or the drug recognition experts have.
New tonight, the real estate market is so hot right now that a $575,000 listing known to be contaminated with meth had no problem finding a buyer.
You heard right. New data beginning to show more homes coming up for sale on the market, but things are still very tight and very competitive.
Jim Spiewak is live for us in Mill Creek near that home tonight. And Jim, meth contamination is more common than we might think.
Yeah, and it can be cleaned up and remediated with a professional crew that can go in and clean things up. But we are standing in Mill Creek, which obviously is in Salt Lake County. And over the last 12 months, the health department has become known of a meth-contaminated house on average every single day.
It's definitely an affluent neighborhood.
April Davis lives in the Canyon Rim neighborhood in Mill Creek.
A lot of what makes this area appealing is the location, because it's so close to the Wasatch Mountains.
Right next door to April is this 1,500 square foot home listed for $575,000. According to the Salt Lake Board of Realtors, this home is in a zip code where the median price is $805,000.
This area seems to be a really popular area for investors to do quick turnovers with homes.
The listing is being very transparent. This nearly $600,000 home tested for meth.
It does shock people to know that there's meth in their neighborhood, for sure. A lot of what we see are just lower levels from people using and not necessarily manufacturing.
Shane Woodworth owns Crime Scene Cleaners and cleans up meth-contaminated houses.
A lot of people live in them and are just fine, but there's a small percentage of people that really do get very sick from these contaminated homes and living there.
According to the Salt Lake County Health Department, 375 properties tested positive for a chemical contamination in just the last 12 months. Shane says he's as busy as he's ever been.
A lot of them are a little bit lower income homes that we go into, but we do see high-end homes as well. We see high-end homes up in Park City, nicer areas of Salt Lake County, Utah County. Meth doesn't discriminate. It's everywhere. Every neighborhood could have it.
Now, the listing agent, I spoke with them over the phone a little bit earlier tonight. They declined to do an on-camera interview, but they said that this house will actually close on Monday. And as part of the negotiation process, they said that the buyer is going to pay for the remediation. And again, as we mentioned, they were very transparent in their listing, as is required. If it is known by the seller that there was meth contamination in the house, they have to say so in their listing, which this agent did. We're live in Mill Creek tonight. Jim Spiewak, KUTV2 News.
Surprising marketer on every turn. Jim, thank you.
Yeah, Jim and our Addicted Utah team have reported on properties contaminated by meth before. Now, in a previous report, they found that in 2018, Salt Lake County cited 375 homes for meth. That number jumped to 448 homes in 2019. At that time, property owners were required to pay a $400 permit fee just to get the cleaning process started on the homes. You can still find that full report on our website. Just head to KUTV.com. Head to the Addicted Utah page. We'll have the information there for you.